What is that?
Huh.
Oh. Who?
I don't want to touch it.
Oh, that's disgusting.
It's gross.
Oh.
What's going on? Hey.
Hey.
All right.
That sucks.
Yeah, what's that?
They were just about to call my number for boarding.
Oh, it's about to win the lottery. They were just announcing the lottery tickets and I knew I was going to win.
Did you?
Yeah.
How'd you know?
Oh, I know.
Oh,
Time travel. Chronomancy. All right. This week, the note reads, attention, read aloud exactly what is written on this note or be destroyed and replaced. Welcome to Caffeine Cantrips, the show where we're forced to talk about D&D or else.
Okay.
Why am I talking? Bon voyage, mes amis. We heard your PCs are going on vacation, mashing the slopes, hanging out with old friends, spending that coin, and maybe just curling up with a wizard's bookshelf. In any case, they're gone, and we can finally breathe, can't we? Well, just like an old hangman's noose, I'm afraid not. Today, we're taking a look at how to organize and run downtime in your campaign. Time to count just how fast Avocado Toast sends your PCs back out for another hoard to plunder.
Hi, how's it going? Today on Caffeine and Cantrips, as Sean most regally asserted.
Oh, I don't know where that came from.
Nobody knows where that came from. But today we are talking about a half of a conversation.
Oh, yes.
The topic today is, of course, running downtime in your TTRPG.
Down for down.
Yes. So I think this is going to be an interesting conversation, but we're only going to be doing this from the DM's side or your game runner narrative side. And then we'll do next time you see us, the player's side, how to maximize some of these different tidbits.
Oh, min-maxing, optimizing your downtime.
Optimizing.
For another episode, though.
Yes. So today we're talking from the big chair. But first, we should probably talk about what is downtime.
Yes, because downtime, if you didn't know, has been talked about already in our source books. So DMG, Xanathar's. I think those are the two big ones.
Those are the two big ones.
Yeah.
It is elsewhere with its own additives and changes and whatnot. And so in order to begin, we have to stop.
Collaborate and listen.
Sure. In this case, we want to make sure that in order to go on this journey with us, we're going to assume that you have read or consumed at least some of that. You've had a peruse over either the DMG or Xanathar's downtime activities. So you kind of have a basic understanding of what the book is telling you, because we're not going to talk about that because you can just read that off the page.
But I think we should go through it just briefly.
Yes, we're just going to cover it, but we're not going to do specifics right here.
Okay.
Yeah.
One of the first things it talks about is time management.
Okay.
Specifically for your downtime, like deciding how much downtime will be allowed and how it fits into overall campaign timelines.
Okay.
Talks about balancing the passage of in-game time, sort of with the progress of your main storyline in your campaign, and how it's important to maintain that sense of urgency and continuity. Right? We're not talking about that. It's in the books.
Also, what we're not talking about is the downtime options. So determining what activities are and are not available in the game world as decided by the DM or by the group altogether, right? So that's training, that's crafting, that's magical item purchase and sales, that's running businesses, researching, just engaging in those specific downtime events. They're all in the books. Go have a read.
Another thing that's in the books, resources and costs, right? Talking about considering the resources like gold and materials or time, because that's also a resource that's required for your different kind of downtime activities. Making sure that it's fair and balanced of a system that you're using. for acquiring and sort of spending those resources in the downtime. Right?
Mhm.
We're not talking about it.
No.
In the book.
Ultimately, once again, is the player engagement for choosing these options and not being told exactly what it is that you're doing. We want the players to engage in the idea of downtime, and they should have some meaningful choices, some meaningful opportunities for both role-playing and crafting. Yes, as we're demonstrating here. But yes, we want to use this as a chance to delve into character development.
Yes.
Through all of those different activities that we kind of talked about, but didn't before.
Yes.
And I think lastly.
Yeah, the last thing that the book talks about that we aren't specifically going to talk about is your consensus at the table. So talking about implementation of downtime activities and how you guys want to do it, right? Like how you want to talk to your players about how you want to do it. Ensuring that everyone is sort of on the same page and comfortable with the rules and guidelines for the downtime that you're going to do at your table.
Exactly.
In your campaign.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. And all those specific to the activities.
Yes.
So those are all the things that we are not really talking about.
Yes.
So one thing that we are definitely going to be talking about is going beyond the books.
Ooh.
So
can you do that? Is that a thing that we can do?
There's no books here. Yeah. So what we're actually doing is we are dealing with the consistency of 5th edition books, being that they never quite go far enough.
Wait, do you say there's a consistency in the D&D 5e books?
Not consistently going all the way to give us all the rules, right? 5th edition is a very decisions made at the table kind of game.
Yeah.
A lot falls onto the DM or your game master to run it. And that's kind of the system that we talk about the most. But in this case, it doesn't cover all the options. It doesn't cover everything that you can do because there always should be that room for creativity. Yes, but the books don't go there. And so we talked a little, tiny little bit, but I really want to come back into it, is the player agency. Now, downtime activities are a great way to empower players and allow them to explore their characters, their backgrounds, their goals, and their interests. This is the part where really, truly, you can actually kind of become more of an author as opposed to a player. Remember, as the DM,
right? The players can be an author.
Players can be an author. We're encouraging to do that, but you can be an author with their decisions. You can write out full scenes and have full kind of explanations, full environmental control almost about what is happening. The players are still doing what they're doing and they're working towards their goals, but you could write out an entire vignette about the pit fight that's happening, right? Based on the roles that you were given.
Right.
And you can tell exactly the story that you want to tell or have exactly the scene that you want to project.
Right. It's devoid of that improv aspect of D&D.
Correct.
Yeah.
We're still recognizing full player agency in this case, right? By their rules, by their choices. But as far as the story, color, and narrative goes, we can honor the dice rolls, honor the choices, and still tell exactly what it is that we want to do. And this is actually kind of fun because if we want to be more expressive, if we want to add certain aspects that maybe they don't ask about, right? Why are the chains on the wall? Well, of course the players are going to ask that. But if they don't often engage with the environment, this is a way that you could do that.
They walk into their room. Why are there chains on the wall? Why'd I have to pay extra for this room?
Yeah, extra for this
that's
room.
right.
So obviously, in order to become an author, to write these things out, you have to have a good level of communication, right? The players need to tell you what it is that they want to do. You should, if you don't have great communication with your players, recognize that this is the moment where you can improve it.
Yes.
Right? You can go out and consider their desires and get them to give them to you.
Give it to me.
Give me your desires.
Or do nothing.
Or do nothing. I'll assume that you're just resting and we're just going to disappear some gold and great. Awesome. You can come right back.
That's fine too.
That
is it though?
I don't necessarily think it is.
I don't know if it is.
I don't necessarily think it is.
I just said it because I thought it'd be funny.
Yeah. Landed flat. No, I think it's important that we can recognize that at this point, this is all about communication.
Yes.
Right. And we can ask for it. We can ask directly, what do you want to do? Hey, it looks like you only have 3 days out of the week that you wanted to take. Hey, it only looks like you have 2 months out of the year that you wanted to take.
Right.
What's with the gap? What's going on? Tell me some more, right? Oh, well, I've got a plan. No, you don't. You have to give it to me, or else you're just doing nothing, right? Yep. It's a great way of just kind of being not forceful, but consistent, and have that kind of moment of encouraging that two-way communication, which works better for the non-downtime stuff as well, right? Where they're telling you, hey, man, it'd be great if we had some of this in the future because I really want to do that, right? Practice and improve your communication here. Let them know how good it is to work with you as the DM, the narrator.
Well, it's also a good time to sort of teach your players about setting long-term goals for their characters as well. Because every character should have long-term goals, unless specifically they're a type of character who doesn't. But
that's exactly what I was going to say.
What?
Is if you don't see the characters paying attention to their goals, to their desires, right? You can push back and say, what's going on with this? Where do we want to be with that? Do you care about this? Do you care about that? Right? We can get in there and we can identify what's going on and perhaps where we see holes or where we see that
holes
they
everywhere.
might be perhaps, right? But there might be areas where it's like, hey, did you ever want to read that book that I gave you 4 sessions ago?
You've been holding that quest specific letter for weeks now.
And Waxio's still unbroken, my guy. Are we going to pop into that now that you have some privacy?
You say you don't know what to do, but maybe we should read that letter.
Yeah, exactly. This is what we're talking about, is having the ability not to force, right? But to remind, but to adjust, but to counsel on certain things that may be left untouched, right? And now's a great time to do it because the character has nothing but time.
Well, and as a DM, you can be a little more heavy-handed with it because it's not like a role play thing.
No,
right?
No,
yeah.
We're planning together.
Yep.
Right. And so when we're going through this, one of the things that we didn't talk about and we're not going to talk about, but in the books, there are those tables of like consequences, setbacks, breakthroughs, and all these sorts of things. Go in, utilize those. Don't necessarily force yourself to utilize the base versions of it. You can if you wish, but go in there, make some adjustments. A rival. Oh, well, we know who the rival is because the rival is been around for the past couple levels. We know who's going to be interrupting this, right? We can keep the story going. And one of the things that you said is that this shouldn't kind of become bigger than the main story. We can work on some of the smaller stuff, but we don't want to overshadow that main storyline that we're working on.
Yes.
By taking this time off, by doing this stuff, but you can definitely get in there and support it. You can definitely get in there and push forward on individual storylines. Right. Never overshadowing the main kind of event, but definitely getting out there.
Okay.
Yeah. I also think that this is a rare time where it's perfect to use your Harmon wheel. It's
always a perfect time to use that Harmon wheel.
But this is a unique expression because the players are specifically telling you what they want, telling you what their desires are. So if you're unsure exactly what they're feeling, thinking, wanting, they're telling you now. And all you have to do is read or listen. Right. You're encouraging that direct dialogue without any of that kind of RP stuff on top of it. So now you can address it directly. You can take their actual wants, actual communication, put it into that and adjust accordingly. Right. And figure out where you are, where you want to be, where they could get to. Perfect. Also with that, we talked about this a long time before, but your DM's tool bag, all those things that you're working on, all those weird shapes of story. Yeah. This is time where you can refine them and make them fit correctly.
Yes.
Make them work into what's going on.
Okay.
Because you've got time to refine it. You had the raw product. Now we can make it something better and we can set it up for going forward.
Yes.
Right? Because we have that clear dialogue and communication going back and forth.
With perhaps not as much dice to interfere with plans.
Yes.
There's still some probably. Depends on what you want to do.
Absolutely.
But yeah.
Yep. It still works better when there's that clear communication, perfectly clear communication that isn't muddled by all that silly RP.
RP's dirty. That's why it's so dirty.
I love it.
We do love it.
I love it so much. One other great thing I know that we have it at our table, but like the buddy system,
Yes.
right? Where you can't go do things alone. Perhaps you can't go do all of your downtime alone either.
That's interesting.
So encouraging a group dynamic to maintain through downtime. So this is really kind of encouraging how it might work if you had another PC working with you, right? Will it work better individually? Will it work better as a group, right? Can many hands make light work in this case, right? Can we get extra rolls towards doing whatever it is that we want to do? Is it too big a task for one person to handle in the amount of time given?
Right.
Applying multiple PCs to that not only shares and continues the story, but builds that camaraderie and changes you more from party to team.
And I don't think you should force your players to go buddy system in downtime. Yeah, because the buddy system, what's great about it is that RP is then, all RP events are then sort of put into the communal sort of events that happen in the party. So it's not so isolated, because when things are isolated, it's hard to bring it out into the party for the rest of the characters to interact with. Right, without being sort of heavy-handed with it as a player. So it's
on the player,
yeah. So if you have two people experiencing even one player's specific character's story, it's an in for the rest of the party to get it out.
Early hook, hook. We're getting that.
Right? So the buddy system is great. For that.
And I mean, normally we want to make sure that the downtime activities don't create conflict or division within the party. Right?
Yeah.
Right. We don't want to use our off time to piss off the paladin even more.
I'm going to go and seduce that guy's mother to break up his family. Let's not do that.
I was just going to say
with you. Yes, but as a player, don't do that.
No. So
even if you could.
In our story, in our authoring, in our kind of journey with it, can we have friction? Yes, absolutely. Can we have healing? Not just the cure light wounds kind, but
emotional
like actual
healing.
PCs coming together to repair some damage. Yes, you can. Can we have dialogue? Absolutely. We can have, hey, you two have 4 days to text out a conversation between you about this.
In game days.
In real days, because I got to get this done before our next session, right? Yeah. But you two can have this conversation if you wish, right? But you only have this much time.
And you have to let me know.
Well, and I'm in there too, because I want to see what's going on, because I want my popcorn.
Oh, no, you didn't.
Oh, no, you're just doing emojis. So disruptive.
Eggplant.
Oh. No lines and veils in my text. Which then I suppose next thing that I think is very important about checking in on is game balance. Now, it does say, one of the things that it does say in the books is that we need to watch that certain characters don't come out of downtime having more power, more money, more whatever.
Yes.
I say pish posh. I think if somebody is working for something, and unless it's just hidden behind like extraordinary roles or something, that they can come back with more. Hey, Mike, this is like the grasshopper and the ant argument, right? One character has been fastidious with their money. They're working towards a goal. They want to build a business. They're squirreling away every gold, copper, electrum that they've got. The other one is just spending it on healing potions because they like to get hit in the head for fun and then just heal and get back into it, right?
I love the taste.
Chug and rally sort of thing. Should we penalize the one character for their choices?
Or like hold them back?
Well, because you can't have it both ways. So one character can't spend all their money on healing potions.
Right.
Because the other player wants to save. Like it doesn't seem like it encourages player agency when we take over. There's going to be a natural imbalance. But my argument is that it all comes out in the wash. You can have, and you will have naturally, because D&D as classes isn't balanced, you're going to have spikes in certain classes that overpower other ones.
Yes.
Right? Whatever it is, your ranger isn't going to keep up with your like Nova Sorkadin. It's just part of the mechanics.
Poor rangers.
We can't Yeah, they've got their own things. They've got their own.
Yeah, they have animal companions, right?
Yeah, and,
So
and
good.
free second attacks and stuff. But there's something to be said, I think, for allowing minor discrepancies in what's going on to allow different characters to perhaps take the spotlight, to perhaps become a little stronger, to flaunt that, to get that shoot the monk zone.
Okay.
Or maybe they do set up that business and now they have an income coming in. That character also still has to worry about people coming in and stealing all the shit in their warehouse.
Right.
Coming in and ruining their business, coming in and stealing all their workers, coming in. They have more vulnerabilities as well as benefits. So they're not necessarily ahead or behind, just different. And that's okay.
Right.
That's okay.
I mean, I do think, though, there is a point where you have to watch out when it comes to balance, right? Like, say you're playing XP by kills.
Okay.
Right? Like, you may not necessarily want, say you're taking like a 5-month downtime for whatever. You may not necessarily want one character coming back 2 levels ahead of the rest of the party. All right? It's just...
Perhaps.
Perhaps.
But what does that really do would be my challenge for you. Because one PC being optimized, but 2 levels lower than an unoptimized one, who's doing more in combat?
Well, like I said, it may be okay, but it's something that you should be concerned about in that case. Like, there are certain things that are in balancing that will cause a dip in the player satisfaction after the downtime.
Sure. And we did
Just
mention,
saying.
though,
Yeah.
like I think the last thing you mentioned was that everybody needs to be comfortable with the rules.
Yes.
So other players can know, hey, I can go and buy magical items, or I can go fight on the front lines. I can come out of this with a +1 sword or a level. Ooh, I have decisions to make.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
As long as it's fair and open for everyone to pick.
Yes.
Once again, I honestly don't think that slight bumps can't be meted out in the aggregate.
Again, clear communication on what to expect
Absolutely.
for downtime, right?
Also,
if it's a surprise to the players, like, oh, I didn't know we could go and just get levels,
right.
like free levels and come out. Like, I would have totally done that if I had known, right? So, yeah.
And once again, that's me. That's my table.
Yes.
I'm comfortable in balancing those things out. If you are not, don't. Right? It's very simple to be like, hey, I think it'd be really cool, but I would like to keep the party at the same level. So you can go and earn money, or you can go and earn something else, reputation, blah, blah, blah. But I'm not handing out levels off table.
Right.
Oh, okay. Well, that adjusts my decision, but I still want to do it. Great.
Yeah.
Cool. We both agreed for what's going on. So that's definitely something that can be good. As well as I think it's a time for people to use their resources. If they only have like one-shot items, why not use them in downtime? Why not push them to use these things, get rid of them? If they're not going to use them during their regular table and they're just amassing more and more and more magical items.
Because they do that.
Because some do that.
Yeah.
Right? Then, hey, here's a great chance to utilize this. Right? While you're researching, right? You've got a thing that'll give you haste for a whole day. Can I research double? Yes. You can research double a day.
Right.
Great. Will that give me a plus to the thing? Yes, it will. But now that item's gone, right? We don't have to worry about that item anymore.
Right. Oh, I have a discount for whatever purchase at a store. Will that lower my costs for research for a certain period?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Another great thing that I think about running this sort of thing is DM preparation. Right? Adapting to the downtime choices is really going to allow you to incorporate those choices into the outcome of what you're choosing to do and what the ongoing narrative is, right? And so if the question is to prep or not to prep, specifically in this case, I think beyond your ability to improvise or be flexible at the table or to do that tap dance, in this case, more is more. I think this is the time where you must prep, where you must spend the time to organize everything that's coming in and double down, triple down, quadruple down, quintuple down, whatever it is, to really put your effort forward into this moment. And I think it's because we all have a standard of what kind of game that we want to run. And this is a great time to blast through that barrier, to really surpass expectations and show players how much their input means to you, how passionate you are about what this is, right? And not only meet them at that level, but kind of blow them away.
Well, it's also after downtime, depending on how long it is, it's kind of like another stage in your narrative, in your story, right? And it would be best if you prepared for that sort of renewal of your campaign after the downtime, right?
Absolutely.
So prep is super important for that.
I think specifically for downtime, prep is important. And just so that you answer all the questions, hit all the things, match it into all the story arcs that you're
bring it all together. So
bring
that
it all together.
Right.
Which brings us to consequences and risks. I'm not going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about that later because that's an entire mouthful on its own. Yes. Yeah. Tease so you can stick around. But I do want to shout out a specific mechanic in downtime that not everyone, I think it's there. Everybody knows about it, but I think it's particularly more informing that it lends itself to be. Okay. And that's that lifestyle, expenses, and costs.
It is so much more important than you think it might be.
I think so. And it's even more important than I think it is. I think if you can use this to springboard or explain so much as to what's going on in the game because these are the people that they're interacting with. Right? Like tracking rations in a survival portion of your game where food is super important. This is super important to be like, who do they have access to? Who are they hobnobbing with? Who are they not hobnobbing with?
Right.
Who are they pissing off by hanging out with? Right? Like, what is happening here? Are they living above their means? And everyone's like, oh, where's all this new money coming from?
Right.
This old money society.
Like, are they researching spells, but they're spending so little money they're hanging out with the riffraff?
Yes.
As opposed to spending more money and spending time with other wizards.
Sure.
Right?
Well, and that poor lifestyle can actually grant you exhaustion and stuff. Like you can burn yourself out.
Hanging out with other wizards might give you bonus to your research.
If not bonus, access to more renown, more connections, more. I think in lifestyle, it's just a tiny little chart.
Yeah.
But you can extrapolate that little chart. You can just magnify the hell out of it. Yep. And I think that that's important. I think that just like any environment, hey, you can't work on your profession because you're on a wagon in the middle of nowhere and you're traveling for 3 weeks. So no, you can't sell your goods because there's nobody to buy. Right? Okay, great. In a city, that environment is where you're at, how much money you're spending to live, how affluent you are, how much you're destabilizing the local economy by living like a king, whatever it is, maybe, right? Because that's going to attract people. Oh, that's going to attract men at arms. Why? Because they know a new rich man is in town.
Yes.
Rich men
attract
always
bandits.
need guards.
Attract
bandits, attract everything, attract a dragon, whatever it is. But that lifestyle thing, I think, is such a huge underwritten item.
Yes.
That you kind of should focus on it. And so, using that to inform your decisions, then you layer on the player decisions on top, ask them for more, right? Tell them that you need more information. You can be blunt. No, that's not enough.
Right.
Right. If you don't have time, that's great. Tell me you don't have time because life is too busy right now. But I would like more from you. And I think you could do more here. You could do more there, right?
Well, help me help you.
Exactly. So get in there. Yes, and what's going on. Really dig in. Maximize what's happening. And lastly, remind your PCs that they have to come back wanting to adventure. You should not use downtime to convert your PC into an NPC. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, they need, just like they needed a reason to become an adventurer in the first place, they need a reason to come back to being an adventurer.
Because no one is ever an adventurer out of just pure desire.
Right.
Very few people.
Very few.
Right? You need a reason to be an adventurer. Just like hopefully if you enjoyed our content, you have a reason to like and subscribe. Right? Just go down and click it because Byron speaks so eloquently.
He's a little chuffed at that still, you out there.
It just hurts. It just hurts.
Heard him so good. It made me laugh though. So take a moment, pause the video, reflect, hit that like, hit that subscribe. We will be here when you get back from our vacation from each other. And let's see if we can still earn even more of your likes and subscribes going forward here.
And now that we're back from our vacation, let's talk about downtime, giving or taking. What does that mean?
Oh.
What does that mean? It sounds like, Sean, what's wrong with you, right? Here's my argument. Right? In order to make downtime feel good for your players, Don't hit the microphone.
Fired.
In order to make downtime feel good for your players, if you had to choose only one, I argue that it's better that the DM offer downtime than it is for players to have to unilaterally take it from the campaign, from the DM.
Okay, from one extreme to the other.
Yes.
Yes.
If you can do both, like players will ask for downtime and the DM offers the best, right? But if you had to choose one, DM, it's better for them to offer downtime.
Yes.
It feels better for the players, right? And by taking it, what I mean is when players just tell the DM that they're going to take downtime and then do it.
Oh, okay.
Right? As opposed to giving sort of the DM time to sort of prepare a little downtime period for them. Right? Because why is it better that the DM offers than players taking? It's a complicated issue.
It's a big sigh.
I know. I think many DMs design their campaigns to be just go, 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 right? And there's very little leeway to take extended breaks without sort of undesirable consequence for the players.
Right. You do the introduction, then you get the rise.
Right. And there's no time to stop.
No.
Right? Like the BBG's going. Yeah. If you delay by a month, you're going to save the world, right, a little bit less.
Or not at all.
Right?
Yeah.
Every sort of period of downtime you take, the lower the chances of saving the world. Right? So then it doesn't feel great then as a player to ask for downtime because you don't feel like you can. Right? Because the opportunity cost for downtimes can be pretty high in that sort of situation.
Yes.
Right?
Or they can definitely feel that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Because I think for most of us DMs, we have the attitude that the world goes on even if you don't.
Yeah.
Right? And that's, I think,
this guy,
a good attitude to have because it breeds this idea that the world is living, it changes, right? There's consequences to your actions or inactions, blah, 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 right? And this is especially true for a lot of campaigns that are just like that save the world type of campaign. It's not like a sandbox open world. You guys do what you want and things happen will happen, right? It's you got to do everything as right as possible so you have a chance of saving the world, right? For those types of campaigns, which is most campaigns, I feel like.
That's a good question.
I don't know if it is or not, but from my sort of research on like Reddit and stuff like that, it feels like it is.
Reddit.
I know Reddit. You Redditors out there, right?
No, I kid. No, it's an interesting premise.
Yeah.
It's an interesting premise. Yeah.
Right. Let me know if I'm wrong.
Yes. But let's assume for this.
Yes, for this argument.
True.
Right. So this makes it less likely that players will feel comfortable initiating downtime on their own.
Yeah.
Right. And if they do, they don't feel good about it.
Well, because it feels like the suboptimal choice.
Well, exactly. Right. And as sort of gamers that we are and how D&D is sort of half gameplay anyway, it's like it feels bad to take downtime, right? Because of the opportunity cost.
Such an aggressive emotion.
Take it, right? I mean, but does this mean that it's bad to let players take their own downtime?
There goes our PG rating.
What?
Huh?
It's PG-34, isn't it?
Oh yeah, yeah, that's right.
Does this mean that it's bad for players to just take their own time? Not necessarily, right?
No.
In this case, if they do, they're like, I just need time to friggin' brew potions and make some spell scrolls or something like that. I think players need to know sort of clearly the potential pros and cons of that downtime. Like, is it okay? Like, are we going to be sort of super punished for taking this downtime or not? They may not need specifically like, oh, if you take a month of downtime, the BBG is going to have like 1,000 more troops you have to chew through. Maybe
I said fireball.
I said dabu. Not necessarily that much, but just indication like, hey, just let you know that if you take downtime, you're ignoring the whites that you discovered in the forest, and they are just propagating their crap, their undead crap everywhere.
Right.
Right? Just let you know.
True story.
Right? I know, right? We made it work. So they need to know that. Right? Just that what could potentially happen. Maybe not.
Yeah.
But this is what potentially you are going to let happen if you take downtime.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, definitely playing off of information. Lord of the Bane. The blood moon ritual is happening in 3 days. Yeah, we're going to take a month off.
Yeah.
Are you sure? Right. As
Right.
Like just like when you touch the trapped thing. Are you sure you want to do that? Yes, for sure. Okay. Right. I don't think we can steal player agency, but it definitely feels bad then, right? Because they're like,
Even then it still feels bad, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And if we want to maximize, I think, player enjoyment through our campaign, we may want to think about ways of making it not feel so horrible to take downtime, right? So instead of thinking about
the druid is just like control weather. It's overcast. They can't do it. We're good for another 27 years. The DM's like,
what? Can you do that?
What?
Play agency, DM. So if the players decide to do this, as a DM, try to not think in terms of sort of what can I do to sort of offset their downtime gains.
Yeah.
I think that is the DM instinct. Like, I can't let the players get too far ahead. So then just roll my bad guys on all my encounters. Or if I let them snowball their power. Right? Don't think like that. I think
because it's not versus.
It's not versus, right? Yeah. We want them to have fun and to enjoy the campaign. If downtime is something that they really think they'll enjoy, let's find a way to let them enjoy their downtime. Right? So
shoot the monk.
Exactly. Right? Because either you make downtime enjoyable for them so they'll do it, or they just won't take downtime, right? And miss out on that enjoyment that they might have because of the downtime. And neither is the ideal situation.
Well, we've talked about subsidizing more of the stuff that you want.
Yep.
So if you punish every time they take downtime, then they'll never take downtime. They'll never really take those moments to explore that soft or wide power that we talk about. Exactly. Because they'll feel like they get punished for it.
Yeah. Because there's a lot of opportunities for enrichment of your campaign that downtime does offer.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, bad guy gets an extra 1,000 soldiers. Great. But we made 100 friends.
In high places.
In high places, in low places, in all the right places.
Right? We convinced 2 more countries to join our crusade. Right. Or whatever.
Right. And then we can offset it and we can make it more epic.
And it's more interesting coming out of the downtime.
Yes.
Right? Yes. Sure, I gain more power, but as a consequence, the campaign's more interesting.
Far more interesting.
So for that purpose, we want to think about not mitigating their downtime gains, but more along the lines of what can I do to make their downtime more interesting, more nuanced, say. So say they will gain something, maybe put some requirements from the players. If you want to gain this, you'll need to do this or give up this, right? To further that goal that you're trying to do.
Okay.
That activity. Maybe, I don't know, give them multiple options. Right? Like, here are the benefit from here, but there'll be penalties here. Right? Like, do you want it to, because when it comes to player downtime, they choose how long to go down for. Long enough to have fun.
Type 1 fun.
So maybe
perhaps
put things in there, sort of elements in there to make their choices more interesting. Not just should I have downtime or not have downtime, is how do I do this downtime now in order to maximize?
You can even go back to the question that I asked at the end of my little spiel and say, like, the longer you go downtiming, the harder it will be for your character to answer, why are they coming back? Right? Unless something changes, unless kobolds revisit their farm for the 3rd time and kill their family again, right? Like you start to lose that. No, I'm more settled in my business. No, I'm more settled as a researcher. No, I'm more settled at the church, whatever it is. And so it becomes harder and harder to kind of pull them, extricate them out of that zone.
Right.
And so you can say, like, hey guys, I really don't see you being in downtime for more than 3 months, like a season.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe you do want to take it off and go help the villagers harvest their goods and whatnot.
Maybe you want to take the winter off.
But come winter, no, you got to go south.
Yeah.
Right? You don't want to hang around. You want to be a snowbird, right? Get out of there, right? There should be that push. And so I think you don't have to necessarily be direct if that is direct, but you can just say, like, it's not feasible past this point.
Right. And then hopefully if you do this, even not taking downtime could be a valid and interesting choice now because of the options that you put into play.
Sure.
Right.
I think it's interesting, and I'm curious, not about your idea. I think your idea is good. It's the application that you would have to manage because when players are making decisions at the table, in the moment, in the scene, in the whatever, they don't get to know the consequences. So in downtime, if you're saying you get this, but you lose that, and kind of get that omniscient awareness of the give and take, your kind of self-optimizer is going to get in there and be like, what am I willing to sacrifice? What am I willing to lose? And I think that's a unique position of knowing what the consequence will be and therefore choosing what it is, having that meta knowledge to act on. I still think I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say exactly what they're going to
No,
lose.
not exactly.
No. Okay.
Not exactly.
Perfect. Yeah. But just like, the more time you give them to harvest wood, the taller the walls are going to be and the harder they are going to be to like sneak into the fortress. Okay. Off you go.
Or even just like, you want to research a spell? Well, these are the requirements, right? Like this is what's going to cost, and because you do this, you can't do everything you wanted.
Yes.
Right. So choose what you want from the options that you've given me.
That's a better challenge of I want to do too much. Okay, but this says it takes a week. That says it takes a week. This says it takes 3 weeks. You only have 3 weeks, and you want to do one thing or two things and another bonus thing.
Yeah.
That I think is a better decision than, by doing this, you're going to lose that.
Okay. Yeah.
But then again, that's the player's decision to give you too much.
Yes.
So anyway, yeah. No, please continue. Please continue. I think you're on the right track. Absolutely.
But okay, cool.
Destroy me, please.
So you've either the players at this point have decided to take downtime, or the better path has been chosen and you give them downtime. Maybe there's a mixture of both. That's the optimal.
I like it.
They request downtime and you're like, okay, I will give you downtime.
Yeah.
Let's work together on how to actually give you that downtime now.
Or conversely, all I keep hearing you guys say is you want downtime, or you would like to research this, build that, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll suggest it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because I want you guys to have more enjoyment.
Yes.
And if downtime's what you're going to...
That's what you're talking about?
Yes.
That's what you're going to get.
Right, so how do we give downtime?
With a fist. With a dice in it.
Punching down time.
No, you got to roll.
Oh, roll down time. Always keep in mind that everything we do as a DM should be for the purposes of players' enjoyment.
Yeah. Yes, players' enjoyment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and yours. You're a player too.
Emotional damage.
For emotional. Jeez. So
Pavlov's
in
dog
the
over here.
interest of maximizing enjoyment, again, don't punish or nullify their downtime. I said this already, but I want to say it again because it's very important.
Right.
Because we want to maximize that enjoyment. Right. So how do we do that? What you want to do, I think, is to, as a DM, create a space for that downtime. So to negate that feeling of opportunity cost, right? So what we want to do is carve out some time that's meant specifically for the downtime within our storyline. And there are actually lots of organic ways that you can do this within a story, I think, right? For example, let me know if I'm wrong. Geez. You guys will anyways. For example, say the next part of the quest that you guys are on starts in X number of weeks. Right? Like, say the party has joined the knights as a group of mercenaries, but the battle starts in 5 weeks as the knight group has to prepare to go fight that dragon or whatever, and its group.
Not during the day, I hope.
I don't know. Maybe it's a vampire dragon.
Oh, during the day would be great then.
Yeah, right? And the knights have to prepare. So the party has time to do downtime activities. Yeah. Because you have to wait 5 months anyways for this.
5 months now. Oh my God.
Well, sorry, 5 weeks for this story.
I don't think
quest.
you want to kill this vampire dragon. Well, we'll be ready in 5 years.
It keeps getting longer every time you guys talk about it. 5 decades now? Are you an elf? No. Oh, I don't think I can do it.
I'm here to fight.
Right? Look at my
banner's
spells. Or maybe the next main quest doesn't start up again for a while. Like the party has foiled the BBG's latest plans. Right?
Great job.
Right. Awesome. And there won't be anything else happening for the next 2 months because the BBG's like, well, crap. What do I do now? I need to figure out something, and it'll take me X amount of time to figure it out. And the players won't find out for another whatever month when the BBG starts
Again.
their plan.
Yeah.
Right. Easy downtime, guilt-free downtime. Right.
Perhaps.
Or maybe say the journey to the next place of interest is going to take a long time. Oh, we need to go to the other continent now to get whatever MacGuffin over there.
I don't care what you say. It's 5 months to sail from A to B.
Exactly.
Right. I don't care how you do it.
Right. And that's 5 months of downtime right there. You're on a boat. Maybe it's well equipped. It's a big boat, but you're stuck on a boat, on a mother effing boat. And because the party's movements are now limited, if you can do this one, let the player sort of prepare ahead of time.
Water walk.
Like, if say the player wants to do some research, let them bring their books or whatever, and so they can research on the boat.
Sure.
Right? It's a little more limiting, this one, because you're either like walking for months or traveling on a boat or an airship or whatever. But
yeah, not necessarily. You could take the exact same cost in learning the skill, 25 gold per week in D&D, right? And say, okay, well, you're going to be gone for 10 weeks on the boat. You can spend 500 gold. Right. And get all the documentation, all the things that you need, take them with you on the boat. And then you can do that.
Yep.
If you can find the stuff before you leave port, you have 1 day to find it, right? Like you have 1 day to organize yourself before you leave. Everybody text me in between sessions what you're doing to prepare. Because next session, we're starting Bon Voyage.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You definitely can do that.
And it's safe because nothing is really going to happen.
So for that Kraken.
Oh, and there may be an encounter. But it's not 5 months worth of encounters because that'll get pretty boring. I'm just going to find another Kraken. Oh, now it's Sahagins. Now it's blue Sahagins. Now it's green Sahagins. How do you know how you pronounce it?
Well, those are Slads, but yeah.
Slads. This is Final Fantasy terminology.
Okay.
Anyways.
I think it's Sahagwin.
Sahagwin? I don't know. It's mistranslated from Japanese.
Shout out to our Make Travel Great Again. So go check that one out if you want to fight red Sahagwins.
Sahagwins? Sahag. I think it's supposed to be sea hags, but anyways. And at that point, then you, the DM, tell your players, or you can discuss with them how much downtime that's going to take, the travel is going to be, or whatever, and they can just take it. And now you can choose whatever you want to do during that downtime. Let me know again all your points, then we can build that story out.
No, you cannot practice Fireball
on the ship. Maybe off. Maybe if they need if they need to fish, it's like dynamite fishing. Boom! And then you
just half damage, I guess.
Right, and fish don't have a lot of.
There has to be a point you could see.
Just those sardine swirls.
Okay.
And the sharks, anyways, they push them to the surface.
I'd rather just the guy with the cantrip, like the freezing water. Just like now they're preserved.
It's like golfing. Firebolt. Oh, you got missed.
For a sardine. Or quipper.
Fireball will do some damage to tuna. Anyways, so take this all into your thought and your brain, right? And then maybe it'll become your sort of signature spell, right?
Firebolt.
Yeah, like a mini signature.
Yeah. I can cast this as many times as I want per day.
Like a flared spell now. So like, be a good DM. Be giving, like you should be as a DM, a giver, right? Give your players the downtime they want, right? And your players will have more fun, for sure, because they want it anyways. All players want downtime, unless you don't.
Want fun, yeah, they want fun,
yeah. And if you do it right, and we'll talk about this, I think, in a bit, your campaign will be more interesting because of the downtime, despite sort of the addition of power on your players. Yeah. So that's my take on downtime and how to go about doing it.
Interesting. I think there's a link between some of the things that we talked about where I'm saying do the prep, spend the time to make sure that it's impactful and it's good what you're giving them. And with you saying carve out the space, one of the things that we've talked about before is developing the orthogonal space to create something good.
Yes.
If you make the space available, you can fill it with wonderful things, right? So by pairing those two ideas together, you can develop something that everyone will like. They might even like and subscribe. We're gonna pander for your votes.
Always.
Yeah. Let us know if this is ringing true for you. If you think that these are good ideas, if these are good things to have. If maybe let us know if your players make you give them downtime every other day. They're like adventure day, off day, adventure day, off day.
It could work.
Yeah. Or conversely, maybe you make them take time off. You just like one of the gods casts a whole person on you for a day.
Well, you're playing a gritty campaign. No, your HP does not come back fully. Not a full rest.
Yeah, you need a week of resting to get a long rest. So what are you going to do in that downtime?
Shout out to all you old school players.
It's going to happen. Great point, actually, about dealing with gritty. Because, you want to rest. That's a week.
Yeah. It's naturally part of it.
In town. It's
resting in a bed.
Yeah. So there's always going to be snippets of downtime that you can work on stuff. Interesting.
Because that doesn't have to be months either.
No.
Yeah.
It can be days. It can be weeks.
Yeah.
It can be months, years, whatever.
I take 8 hours of downtime every night. What are you talking about? Just sleep. It's called a long rest.
Not if you're an elf.
Well, 4 hours.
Dun, dun, dun.
Of dreaming.
So that's interesting. I like that. I like what you said there. Because I think
what I'm putting down?
It's an important Venn diagram to find that kind of middle crossover bit that allows both parties to be happy and neither taking advantage of the other.
Yeah.
And I think that's important because what I talked about before, consequences and risk.
Oh,
wagging that finger.
Players.
I think
players.
To me,
consequences and risk. STDs. STIs?
Eyes, yeah. The eyes have it. I think when we're talking about consequences and risk, we're dealing with reflection, reactions, response, and remainders in the campaign.
Okay, tell me more.
Tell me more. So consequences and risks, not only are there some associated, remember I talked about those tables, right, with rivals interrupting and down, and like things, setbacks.
Yep.
But there's something else beyond that for risks and consequences in all of our decisions when we're playing these games.
Yep.
And you might be saying, duh, Byron, duh. But I actually think that these are really, really important. And this is why you spend the time to go in and craft a balanced response to what's happening, where you allow not only the decisions, but the dice to assist you in narrating the story that you are bringing out.
Yes.
Right? And so much so that I almost expect that the players have to optimize their decisions based on their characters' needs and their choices to make the most of it, because you're not always downtiming, right? This is a rare, I mean, if you're not playing a gritty thing where, you're always resting or whatever, but this is something that I think is far more important because of the frequency that it happens.
Okay.
And depending on how we handle this, we can have more or less, or we can have more smaller chunks, like you mentioned, fewer larger chunks, but still it works into the same mechanical conversation. Right? It's still, what do they want to do? How do we want to handle it? And what comes out of it? And so what is a consequence? What is a risk?
What is it?
Right? I love this question because this is ultimately
ask me that question.
The best things that happen in TTRPGs are the consequences of our choices.
Well, that's everything.
It really is everything.
Everything in life too, right? Just make a decision and you face a consequence, and therefore you make another decision.
F around and find out, right? And this is by itself kind of the lone golden nugget at the core of all the pillars and all the decisions and all the things that are going on, right? And so The answer to the question of what is a consequence and what is a risk, it depends.
Oh, come on. Come on.
Right? It's going to depend, like I said, on a fair and kind of equal balanced conversation as to what is happening. So some of the things that are going to kind of rate how you adjust those knobs. What tier of play are you in? Right? Are you beginners? Is it the bandits that you piss off? Is it the Dragon Council of the 9 stars that you piss off? Right?
Oof.
The tier of play is going to decide the magnitude of an equal response. Because the equal response to a party of level 20s is not the same as a response to a party of level 5s.
Yes.
Right? And because of that, really that's where we get to expand and make the world cool and make the NPCs cool and make it interesting or make it deadly or make it intimidating, make it scary, make it wonderful. Really add that one bite flavor and make it last. Pull it out through a whole meal of just exposition and decisions, right? Where we can get into the story arcs and in an unfettered, undisturbed way, really show people where we are in the Harmon position or where they're at in their own arc, what triumphs they've come through, what losses they've come through, revisit the things that have happened that are affecting them now, because now they have time to think about it. Now they have time to either become motivated by these decisions and pre-consequences or get drowned in them. Maybe they come back an alcoholic and everyone's like, what the hell happened to you? And you're like, I was just in the library and I read some bad stuff, man. I read some bad stuff.
It just stuck in my brain. I can't get it out. Nothing has meaning.
No more abyssal section for you. But this is what can happen, right? And remember that consequences are not bad. Consequences are not good. They are just the result of actions taken, the result of choices that have been chosen.
Well, and from like a narrative point of view, consequences are essential.
Oh,
they're good.
Yeah, that's how.
Like not to the character, but to the narrative. Consequences are good.
Absolutely,
because the consequences are what
necessary.
Is what gives the decisions meaning and weight. Right, like that's why it matters what you chose. You need those consequences.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, hopefully, we're hoping that their players are making these choices in the best way that they can for their characters. Sometimes they choose poorly. Sometimes they choose to try something new. Poorly. Right?
Yes.
Sometimes there's a whole bunch of things going on and we just want to see what shakes out.
Right.
Awesome. These are all great things, like you just said. But, you know, it comes into, like you said, impact. It comes into, like I said before, who do you want to spend the time with, right? What impact can I create in my story? What impact can I create in your story?
Yes.
What impact can I create in our story, right? Can I live in all 3 of those zones together, right? Can I expand that soft power to aid the story, to say that, no, I wasn't just dicking around, hanging out with all the courtesans. Now I have all the secrets. Now I have all of this. My silly decisions are actually part of a master plan. And now I get to show you how awesome I am because of the decisions that I made. And I fooled you. Right? The players can say, and you are there as the DM to facilitate this. Yes, they earned that through their roles, through their decisions, through their double play, through their deceptions. And you almost get to be a part of organizing the surprise party for all the other players when that happens, right? But you have to lean into that. You have to respond with those consequences, which are inherently good, even when they're bad, to those decisions. And really lay into that.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can be brutal with that, mostly to NPCs, but you can be brutal with that to the PCs when they ask for it, because you've had that moment of communication that can say, hey, are you okay with your character coming back scarred?
Whoa.
No, I'm not. Okay, no problem. No problem. But they do have some fish stories to tell now.
Just a little one. Just a little.
Only a little scar.
Just a tip.
But when we do this, it's kind of like throwing a rock in a pond, right?
Boom, boom.
if it's a big one, you get the ripple.
Brum.
Now, what happens when we throw a whole handful of rocks into it? Because or more than multiple hits, and you get all those rings, and their interaction, they're constructive and deconstructive. It gets complicated. Yep. It gets interesting. It gets awesome,
nuanced, and
throwing rocks. Take that, you dirty lake.
We love rocks and throwing them.
It's allowing the multiple
magic
story.
stone.
Oh my God, yes. I've found something in Sean here. No, it's about creating that moment of awe as you can watch all of those ripples interacting. And now you get to watch the reflection of that in your players' faces, in your players' reactions to that. So that brings us to reflections and reactions. This is the time to highlight the world as its own character.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, definitely.
This is the time to play with the world's goals, right? And because this is a big chunk of time, far bigger than any one scene or any one adventuring day or whatnot, you have the space to make a big change.
Yeah.
Right? You take a week off, maybe a week is nothing. Maybe a week is a lot. What can a party achieve in a week? Okay, what can 10 parties? What can 100 parties of the BBEG achieve in 1 week of being unpressured?
Yeah.
Right? A lot could happen. A lot might not happen. But the consistent part of this graph is the more time that passes, the more change that must occur. And I say must, because if there's no change, I'm going to ask you, what the hell's happening in your story? Why does everything stop if the PCs aren't there to do it? Nobody is doing anything to kind of rock the boat. That doesn't seem right.
Because we're on a simulation. That's why. If I'm not in Japan, I don't see Japan. Does it actually exist?
Thanks. Thank you.
Literally no one calls me that.
It's like, even if you like crazy, your grass still grows even if you're not there to mow it. Right? The world is changing. The longer you wait, the taller it grows. Right? And so if you need to take a deep dive into some of these aspects, instead of rehashing like 2-hour conversations, right? Jump back to our episode 43, using factions and guilds to look at how smaller wheels spin bigger wheels, how those turns can happen, how the addition of player characters and subtraction of player characters can help individual organizations get to their goals.
Yeah, it's a great time for a faction
figure out their next goals, right? But we spent 2 hours talking about that. But this is what that is talking about. This is how you fit into the campaign, and this is how you adjudicate what's happening. Yep. And so when the players go, oh, when we were here, the Thieves Guild was 4 guys in a teepee, and now we came back and they have the Mayor's Manor. What happened?
Yeah.
Oh, that super, cat burglar that you left? Yeah. You broke him out of jail and he went to town, literally.
Right.
And he stole the key to the city, literally. Right. And you go, oh, we did that. Right. But now we know the new mayor.
Right. And he likes you because you broke him out of jail.
You broke him out of jail. Silver linings, stormy clouds, your decision.
Interesting.
Your consequence.
Yeah.
Right. And how you want to twist it. But now you have the space for that. You also have the space to go back and check our episode number 28, which was make your first session amazing.
Oh, okay.
Now,
revisit that.
We're talking not about the first session of a campaign, but I feel like, and you mentioned this earlier, stealing my thunder, when you come back from a serious downtime, it's like a new chapter, right? It's like a new section of the game that's happening. And I think you can treat that as the start of a new arc, as kind of like a brand new session 1.
Well, it's like resetting the board.
Yes.
Right? In a new context.
In a new way.
Yeah.
And you have time to put out the pieces and know where they are and understand where they're doing. So come at it full bore. Come at it with a cliffhanger. Come at it with a, oh my God, you'll never guess what.
Well, it's an interesting time to like tie up loose ends and cleaning up the mess that the players have made of your world in a little bit, right?
Oh, we're going to get to that.
Okay.
Yes, we're talking about reflections and reactions, right? So this is what's going on. So yes, we were talking about in number 28, how to start your campaign, but this is, you could do it we watch it again under the kind of perception that you are continuing a campaign, but this is the start of quote unquote book 2.
Yeah.
Right. Or whatever it is. Right. So you're
Act
coming
2.
in. Yes. So now we got to come in hard. We got to reset our wheels. I got to get them hooked again. And they're already excited. They have all this stuff that they want to share from the time that they took off.
Yep.
But I want to introduce this with a bang. I want to introduce this with a murder. I want to introduce this with a burning town. Whatever it is that you want to do.
That's great.
How to bring it together, how to jumpstart it with action. So yes, you're excited to be here, but you don't even know how excited until I'm done with you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so jump straight into the action, change it around, go later in the day when shit has gotten off the rails, and then reset back to them all meeting at the tavern again for breakfast. And they're like, what's going to happen? what's going to happen? They don't know. They're uncertain, but they're excited to share. They're excited to have things shared with them, excited to find the hooks, find the information, and get going. Right. And so revisiting how to get it started is another great way. So how to make those organizations spin, how to make them get going, both super powerful moments here. We move from that to responses and the remainder. Okay, these are the other two. So reflections, reactions, response, and remainder. We, once again, talked a lot about this in number 23. What happens to the environment after the PCs have left? What happens to the world after they're done with it?
And we talk about a lot of things.
We talked about a lot of things. Once again, this is a 2-hour conversation that's a part of this conversation, but I'm not going to talk about it. I'm just going to talk about it.
We're making them read the DMGs, Xanathars, making them go watch 3 other 2-hour episodes.
Sorry, we'll ask you to like and subscribe in those ones too. It's just something we got to do. So sorry. But allowing the other players in the story to have time to reflect, because now you've quote unquote forced them or encouraged them to spend downtime together. Now they have time to reflect on the actions at table and off table.
Okay.
Right? They're building their story. They're building what they want to do. They're thinking of the scenes that they want to have, how they're going to share that cool information that they learned, that new spell that they found, that ancient archive that they uncovered. Great. They all want to do it. Some of them have already done it with others, but they can reflect, man, I knew you were crazy, Rogue, but I didn't know you were that crazy. I didn't know you were that capable. I need to rethink what's going on. Hey, Paladin, I didn't know your morals are actually not that far away from mine.
Right.
You just have a few things that you won't do. And we come across that when we're killing people. But when we're just like normal people in town, we're actually kind of similar.
Right.
Oh, okay. Okay, we're just people. I get it. This gives me a whole new light to experience the other PCs with, right?
Yeah.
And as the DM, you can facilitate these discussions, facilitate this crossover. Right. And so this allows them to respond to each other because the world is responding to what they did. Those deeds are canon. They exist. They are happening.
No
right?
takebacks.
No takebacks. No chronomancy. Right. It's about adding to the depth of the relationship in addition to adding to the soft power, adding to the reputation, adding to everything that's going on. Right. Any NPC, including BBEGs, their lieutenants, their captains, their minions, whatever, right? They also need to adjust to what the new world is. What just happened. Right?
Absolutely.
The thing that catalyzed that adventurer to become an adventurer could have just happened to an NPC. Something of equivalent merit and weight and gravity and all these things could have happened to the stable boy. And now he's not the stable boy anymore. He went and he pinched his pennies and he bought some hand-me-down leather armor. And he took a short sword that is just a shovel that's sharpened. And now he's set out to go and save the world. How do your PCs react to this? Right?
Do they take responsibility for that?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Did they plant the seed and now they're happy about it? Now they're sad about it. Now, they found out that he's actually going to inherit the kingdom because he's the bastard son of the whatever it is, right? We did that. We adjusted the world. This is a consequence that we didn't foresee. This is a consequence that we did foresee. Whatever it is, it's here.
That's awesome.
It's here and we have to deal with it now. And now we can shift the understanding of the PCs more into the world that we as narrators, storytellers have told.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So these responses to what's happened, what we left behind, we talk about that in that like environmental design thing, right? Because we killed 9 out of 10 lions. That 10th lion, well, it's a beast. Maybe it doesn't have revenge. Maybe it's the ghost in the darkness and it's going to start killing people because it knows that people are dangerous. Right?
Yep.
Whatever it is, whatever they left behind, maybe they wounded the dragon.
Maybe now as a PC class.
Maybe it, whatever it is, whatever it is.
Vengeance
right?
Paladin Lions.
You never know what you don't see.
Yeah.
Right. And these consequences can create new stories, new arcs, new little knives to twist. Right. Especially if it was something bad. A character broke their morals. This is a key moment for them. And somebody comes back and they want maybe not violence because they can't enact violence on the paladin, on the cleric, but they can sure put some moral weight on them.
Yeah.
I'm not going to force you to do anything. But if you don't do this for me, I'm going to tell people what you did.
Right.
I can't make you. I'm a level 1 farmer and you're a level whatever cleric, but I can sure eviscerate your soul.
Right. Like the local priest of your church is my neighbor. Right. I see him every Sunday. All it takes is a conversation. Yeah.
So these sorts of things we can use in the downtime. We can introduce in the downtime. Right. And when we're not creating terrible things, what we should be doing is assigning the interests of the players by just listening. I talked about communication before. I've talked about one of my personal rules is everything and nothing as the PCs determine it.
Yep.
If they're interested, I will prep. If they're not interested, I do not have to prep, right? This is a key time to catch up with my players' interests and make sure that I'm on the same track as they are so that I'm creating things within the scope of their interest, within the scope of their fun.
Yeah.
Right? I want to make them tell me shit about their character.
Make them.
I would bold it and put it in all capitals if I could put it into your brain as words. Make them tell you, hey man, I need to know a little bit more about this because I want to create something cool for you. I need to understand where you're coming from, what you're going through, all of these things. If you don't want to tell me, that's fine, but know that I can't do something as good as I want to do, and I want to do something good. So know that I'm not your DM, I'm me asking you for help. If you don't want to give it to me, well, okay, cool.
I want to build something as fun as I can for you.
Yes.
Help me build something fun.
I want to, for you, for us, right? Make them. Ask questions. Make a plan. Provide a great product, right? It's so simple when you put it that way.
It's simple when you say it.
It's so simple when you say it. But the first part is asking questions. What don't I know about my players? I know everything about the world. I know everything about the world, but I don't know the major players, the PCs.
Right.
I can't because those are other people, but I can ask questions. I can get that clarity and I can give them the proper response. Right. And it's okay to demand more. I keep saying this, that it's okay to ask. It's okay to, because it is. Because even if you're like, well, I should know this, you can never be sure. Right?
It's
unless you ask, unless you get that clear communication, get that role play out of the way and get that conversation going.
Yeah.
Right. And most of the time you'll find that your collaboration will create something far better. So, I mean, it's going to be the best thing you can do is to enjoy the gift of time that downtime provides you as a DM. You have prep time available to you that you don't have any other time. All your other decisions, your tap dances, your at-table performance need to be done in front of people in the now.
Finagling, to get them to do something to get somewhere. Yeah.
But now I can look at exactly what they want and I can stare at the wall. I can listen to music. I can go for a walk, go for a run, a swim, a jog. I can hang out with my dogs, whatever it is. My dogs.
That's what Byron does with his dogs.
Yeah.
Hey, dogs.
Hey, dog. This gift of time is so precious that I think we can't waste it because ultimately we waste it.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
They won't because the campaign continues. They'll still be a level 12, 14, 15, whatever it is. But you can't make your story more impactful if you don't. You can't make it more interesting if you don't.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's my biggest advice, I think, out of all of this is just utilize it. Utilize all of that time and this kind of singular part of the game to have that communication to drive forward a better game.
Well, it's just like, it's funny. Unironically, it's like everything else in D&D and in life. Clear communication.
Yes.
Right?
Oh.
In order to get the results that everyone wants. Right? And understanding. You need that. I like that all the things you talk about because I think the point I want to talk about specifically when it comes to downtime as a DM is that I don't want you guys to reward downtime. What do I mean by that? Is that don't use downtime as a reward. Like downtime is better used as a tool for narrative development, like you talked about, right? And character exploration than simply a reward for raising party power levels.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because I think sometimes we think of downtime like that as another way of powering up, an opportunity for the players to power up their characters.
Oh, I think our next episode is going to be totally talking about that.
Oh,
That's going to be the whole thing is powering up.
But that's from the player's point of view.
Yes,
Even from the player, we shouldn't really think of a downtime like that. But that's probably the next episode.
Teaser.
For now, though, of course, this don't reward downtime or don't see downtime as a reward. It depends on the type of table that you have. Mahogany tables, yeah. If you guys like more of the go, fight, main quest line all the way type of table, then that's perfectly good. Right? If that's your fun, do it.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
But just know that adventuring is great for certain kinds of storytelling and character development, but not so much for others. Like during adventure, like when you're going off and fighting and doing all that kind of stuff, right? Because I think role play events during adventuring, by its nature, comes in fairly small slices, right? 30 minutes here, 10 minutes there, right? And then it skips, and then in character time.
Yes.
Right?
It is the sauce over the meat and potatoes, for sure, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So in consequence, your character development during the adventuring periods can be limited to to the specific events that cause a specific singular character changes.
Very good way to put it. Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
And there is a large percentage of character development that needs time to do well. Right. Like certain changes in your character, we want them to, those type of changes sort of are best done over a long period so that it's a ramp up, a slow ramp up. And it's difficult to do like every battle. I'm going to RP a little bit more of a change, right? But it's weird because you only see that 1 minute slice, 1 minute slice, 1 minute slice, right? Like how do I make them feel more protective? Because I want them to change that way every battle. It feels strange, and it doesn't, when you see it as a storyline, it doesn't quite make sense because there's nothing in between, right? That helps that character grow. And it's also not realistic for every faction to always be on the go. You talked about this.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Right? Plans take time to unfold, right? They take time to recover from, they take time to prepare for. Right?
And logistics and like all the stuff that we talked about.
All that kind of stuff, right? So I think downtime should actually be a natural part of the D&D play, right? Because right now it's a rare thing, like you said. But I think it should be less rare, right? For both PCs and the NPCs. Because naturally, the way we work as people, we do have downtime. Things do take time to develop, right? Because in some ways, I think downtime activities give meaning to all of the adventures that the players go on.
Okay.
Right? They should at least. A good downtime activity.
Right. Can't appreciate being sad if you're always happy type thing.
Right. Like how you said, after an extended period of downtime, the players' characters need a reason to keep going adventuring.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Right? The reason why people go adventure should be because of their downtime stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So this is when, specifically in the downtime, when players can deal with all of their individual character stuff. That's their reason for adventuring in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Say a character is adventuring to help raise money for their orphanage that they grew up in.
Yeah.
Right? That's a trope.
All those adults they slaughtered and took in the kids.
Right?
I'm a good person.
But when do they ever get to visit that orphanage? Do I just send my money back and then just some absentee fathers working all the time and the kids never see me? It loses meaning, right? So when do we ever sort of advance that orphanage story? We can't really during the adventuring periods because it's all focused on the adventuring stuff.
Oh, let's take the kids with you. Child soldiers.
Ooh. Ooh, that's another kind of campaign.
That's a different campaign.
Let me know how that goes, guys. I think I've done that once.
I just give them all one.
But my character died before anything bad happened to the kid. Downtime is
That's
a
karma.
great chance to develop that narrative.
It is.
Like your character background narrative type of thing, right?
They can still attune to 3 magic items, right?
The kids.
The kids, yeah.
They can still hold my shield, right? And pass me crossbows.
15 pounds is not too much
One
for
loads
a kid,
it.
right? So
No, 3 kids load my crossbow.
Yeah.
One passes it to me.
Yeah.
So I can shoot every turn. Or maybe I'm a wizard and I adventure to advance magic.
Oh,
Let's get rid of the kids for now.
yes, yes.
Let's move on.
Yeah.
When do I ever get to actually enjoy the fruits of what I get in my adventuring,
Yes.
right? For my magical research.
Mhm.
Maybe say my wife died and I'm right and her soul's taken away to wherever. And I need to bring her back. I need to figure out a way to do that. Like
Yeah.
when do I get to explore that actual research and the experiment on how to do that?
Mhm.
Right? Eventually is when I go get all the components and I find the different
Yes.
tomes on how to do that, right? I need that downtime. And that's what it really is where downtime shines. Sure, you can get
Sure.
in-game benefits,
Yeah.
and you will. But there's certain types of stories and narratives that is best told during downtime that you can't really do when you're out adventuring.
Yes. Like
Right.
you said, you've got the big spaces to make the
Right.
big changes. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it may be downtime, maybe the only time when it's a good idea to split the party. To actually have players go off and explore things on their own. Buddy system is good, right? But even then, during an adventure, you may not want 2 people going off and 2 people going off because it's dangerous, right? Downtime, you can.
Depends how many doppelgangers you got.
It's true. How many simulacrums? On my own, buddy. What are you talking about? Right? So consider giving downtime often, right? To give the room for that kind of storytelling, that kind of character development, right? In your campaign, in your sort of main storyline,
Sure.
right? So it's not all of a sudden in the end, all my problems are solved now. It's been a journey now as well up to the end of the campaign,
Yeah.
right?
It also give your players practice with what to do with downtime.
It also gives them hooks on this is why you're going on the next adventure. This happened, but it failed.
Mm-hmm.
You know that you need something else now. So go on the adventure, right?
Yeah.
It so happens that BBG has the MacGuffin or whatever, right? And again, your downtime doesn't have to be months,
No.
right?
No, not necessarily.
But give enough time for your characters to sort of take care of their non-adventuring concerns more often than you might think to give them, because it's not always about, again, bonuses and power, right? Because even D&D Adventurers Leagues games award 10 days of downtime between every session. Every session, they give 10 days of downtime. Now, this might be inorganic for like casual play, right? Because Adventurers League games are like every session, it's a beginning and end.
It
Right.
tries to be,
right.
and it kind of has to be, because
Right.
you never know.
But like casual play at home and stuff like that, or online, it's usually not like that.
Less,
Right.
Yeah.
But consider giving downtime between every adventure or every mission.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't that be a lot? Just some, just so they can go back to the orphanage
Mm-hmm.
and play with the kids, tell them about the adventures they've been on, right?
Introduce them to their new friends.
Right. Or maybe try to find investors in the orphanage, stuff like that. Like progress that sort of background story stuff that you can't otherwise do, right? Yes, players can gain more resources for their next adventure, and they will love that. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But you, the DM, will also be able to give your NPC factions and your antagonists time to gain more resources for their own, for the next adventure for the PCs as well.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And you should.
It's curious. I know in most evil campaigns, one of the things that they talk about is how you can't do it by XP, because killing for killing's sake just is too easy if you're playing a villain campaign. But it's story awards. It's closer to that milestone where the more evil things they do, the more powerful they become. The more schemes they unload, the more powerful they become.
Yeah.
And having them have the time, like I mentioned as well, to react, to learn, to know how the PCs beat them that time and how to change it up for next time, to create a new challenge from the same enemy. Whatever it is, they need that time to incorporate that new lexicon into their work.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, last time you when you beat them, you just counterspell everything they did. Next time you meet them, you found some apprentice and just taught them. You just counterspell. That's all you do. Whenever this guy ever shows up and he casts something, you counterspell it. I've got a legion of them behind me now. Can't do that again.
Or just has like a big sheet over him so you can't see his mouth moving and he does all his somatic components behind his head.
It's like Bane style.
You didn't see anything, can't counter.
But again, don't do this in a way that sort of is punishing to the players. Do it in a way that's interesting.
Yes.
That sets up the next adventure as more nuanced, has more options, and is different and feels balanced, but has progressed in a way that's so that it's more interesting than the last adventure. Right. In that campaign. It sort of ramps up in a compelling way. Right.
Well, it should if you continue to build or maintain that relationship, even if it's an antagonistic relationship.
Yeah.
It should build.
Yeah.
Right. Every time Gary met Ash, it's always more important, more impactful.
So put more downtime in, because downtime means you're able to develop that world narrative. You can plant more hooks and prepare things here and there to sort of make the next adventure even better, like we talked about, right? Just make it so much, like every downtime's a chance to make it better, right?
Better
Let's
adventures.
clean up everything and make it better. Clean up everything, make it better, right? And if you do that, I think you'll find that you'll get deeper, more rounded characters, right? That feel like they belong in your campaign world. They're no longer like this weird, like player controlled beings that sort of float above the world doing stuff to affect the world underneath them, like weird semi-deities. They're now sort of people.
Just had a Red Rising flashback. But yeah, keep going.
Right? Oh, I never watched that show. Book?
Not a show, book.
Read the book, yeah. But now they're people. I don't know how to read.
Play D&D.
I'm ESL. I barely know how to speak English. You know who I'm talking to.
You know who you are. Get it.
So now you have
the
characters
comments.
that feel like they belong in your world, who have an effect and have the world affect them.
Yeah.
Right? Beyond just I
Yeah.
can kill things or not kill things. I passed a skill check or not pass a skill check. Right? So in the end, more downtime, if done right, means a richer world and a richer sort of D&D gameplay experience, I think, for everyone at the table. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That is what we try and do, right? Is we create that rise that naturally happens in stories needs to be built on a foundation, right? And that foundation is bigger choices, bigger consequences, more impact, more depth, more understanding, more heart to that, right? And so we need something as the storytellers, as the narrators, the adjudicators, to make that foundation out of.
Yeah.
Right. And so you're absolutely correct, whether it's licking their wounds or it's, scheming, getting out there, making, more spikes, less walls on this castle.
More spikes.
Says Bowser's architect. It just
only cures more spikes.
It can be a well implemented source of inspiration. If you utilize it.
Right. And downtime can be as much a tool for the DM as it is for the players. So, yeah. So learn to love downtime because it can be awesome. And it is awesome.
Yeah.
If you don't screw up.
We're hard enough on ourselves as DMs and stuff that we don't need you, Red Saruman, here to...
Red Saruman. Oh, yes.
Yeah. But, or Wilson, I guess. Wilson.
Red Wilson.
The pen print was red.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. Anyway, I think that's a good place to have this first half of this conversation. I think this is a good viewpoint from behind the screen on how to get out there and really, perhaps we've talked about utilization or what this gift is or how to use it, how to implement it, maybe have more of it because it's going to allow you for more dynamic moves, more interesting progression. I think it's really interesting. And as the Fortress and Firbolg Master, I approve
of this message.
I approve of this message. Yeah.
Okay, then. Well, thank you for joining us.
So much. As always, check us out on all of our different platforms. Use your downtime to hang out with us.
Yeah.
Maybe join our Discord. Come and talk to us because we like to answer questions in
semi-live form.
Great detail.
Oh,
yes.
yeah, it is great detail.
Make sure you at me though, or else sometimes I don't see. My Discord is too full of too many channels, so I gotta I gotta pare that down. I gotta organize that. But as always, I was Byron,
and I'm Sean,
and we will catch you next time, or else. It's I was like, take it, and I was like, what? Well, there goes that rating.
There goes PGs.
That was a sexual thrust, not on my Minecraft server, Sean.
You just made it into a sexual thrust.
Well, I didn't mean.
Or they made it into a sexual thrust in their mind.
Okay.
It was like the Buddhists say, it just is. You add the nuance to it.
He's just up in here thrusting. Get in the comments, right? Like, get in the comments. Be like, Sean,
I don't need people complaining about my enunciation and my hip thrusting.
Okay, so what is it going to be? Would you rather, right? If you could only pick one, then comment about your thrusting or your diction.
The same thing.
That's a knee slapper, apparently. Notice he didn't pick.
Not going to say that.
Almost got him.